Welcome to Unlocking Your Truth, another podcast by Dr. Lesley Phillips.
Hello everyone, welcome to Unlocking Your Truth with Dr. Lesley. My name is Dr. Lesley Phillips and I am your host. And I'm also here in the studio with Corey.
Hello. You obviously found something funny there, did you?
I did. I left the autoplay on. So I was smiling because I was having to quickly turn it off. Otherwise, my voice would have been. I would have had background music. That might have been nice, mightn't it? A bit of background music.
Yeah, but then you would have had to write that down, otherwise you'd get in trouble.
Oh, okay. Well, welcome everyone, and of course you're listening to Unlocking Your Truth. We are a talk show all about metaphysics and spirituality. And we're here every Tuesday from 7 to 8 o'clock on CIVL on 101.7 FM. And every other week we have a guest, and every other week we just chat. And today's one of those chat nights where we bring some teaching, some information to you, but we also open the phone lines for you to call in with your questions live on air.
And if you're not listening to the show during our interview shows, you should, because the interviews are really amazing. We have some phenomenal interviews, and you can actually go on our website, go on drlesleyphillips.com and listen to those. Some of them are just astounding. Like last week's was wonderful.
They are, and you can send questions in for the interview guests as well. So you can write questions to info@drlesleyphillips.com. Well, talking about guests, we had a really great guest on last week. His name was Mark Anthony, and he was the psychic lawyer. And
every time I hear that, I have to laugh.
Yeah, one of the things that I really enjoyed about our conversation with him was that we were talking about the new science of biophotons. And as you know, I'm a biologist by training as well as a psychic by training, and so I was very, very interested in that. Because I find it really exciting where science and spirituality are coming together. So I thought this evening I'd quite like to continue that conversation around biophotons. So tonight's show is called Intuition, Healing, and the Biophotonic Human. And that's right, yes. And especially because I had a very interesting experience last night while I was in the bath. And if there's time at the end of this, I'll share that experience.
I don't know, you should be sharing that type of experience with the people. You know, your bath time. That's kind of sacred.
Well, something sacred happened. So anyway, biophotons. Let's talk about biophotons. So you know that you're made up of cells. You're made up of actually trillions of cells in the human body. And each of those cells in your body undergoes hundreds of millions of chemical reactions every minute. It's kind of mind-boggling when you think of it. And so your cells are in communication with other cells constantly. And up until recently, scientists explained the communication purely through biochemistry. But this new science of biophotonics is changing all of that. And it all started in the 1970s with a German scientist called Fritz Popp, who started doing work on biophotons, which are ultra-weak photo emissions that are emitted from our cells. And these ultra-weak photo emissions travel at the speed of light. And up until then, I think somebody had postulated these things existed way back to the 1930s, but they didn't have an instrument that could measure them. And so Fritz Popp had a photomultiplier that could detect a candle 12 miles away. And that's what he needed in order to be able to pick up on these photonic emissions coming from human cells.
You put that together with the fact that an ion or anything that moves will circulate around the Earth and go through every living person and every creature within 7 days.
Is that right?
Yeah.
So, scientists initially thought that biophotons were byproducts of chemical reactions in DNA, but now people are starting to believe that they are responsible for the communication that happens between cells, between organisms, and for the operation of our biological systems. Now, isn't that amazing? Because, of course, as a spiritual teacher, healer, and practicing clairvoyant, and Corey, I'm sure you'll agree as well, as a healer, we've known for thousands of years in the spiritual world that spiritual communication and healing is based on light, is based on energy. And of course, intuition is spiritual communication. So it's really exciting to see this new science expanding and how it's moving towards a common perspective to the spiritual teachings. So let's talk about some of the experiments that have been done and how we can relate them with the spiritual side of things. So research has actually demonstrated non-local communication between biological systems. So that means one organism to another organism, basically. So one organism can be in a different place. So a Russian scientist called Sergei Maberov did some research with fish eggs and frog eggs and placed them in different locations and discovered that they can sync their development, even if they're not anywhere near each other, through the use of biophotons.
Right. Sorry. Sync. Remember what we were talking about on the way here? About geek speak?
Geek speak.
Yes. So let's simplify that a little bit.
well, think about eggs develop, don't they?
Yeah.
The embryo develops in the egg, and there's a certain sequence of events and timing that happens. So the eggs located in different locations all developed in the same way according to the same timing, and that was because of the communication between them via these biophotons. They synced up, like you sync up your Google Calendar with your Android and your computer. So the idea is that these photonic communications can organize, balance, and influence matter. And of course, as a healer, that's what I do. I work with light to influence, electromagnetic energy and matter at a distance, right? I can see Corey's intellect has got hooked into this.
No, what you're saying, yeah. I mean, if I take chicken eggs and I put chicken eggs in different places, as long as they're warm and they're hatchable, they're going to hatch at the same rate.
Not necessarily, and I think you'd have to read the research paper by Sergei Maberov.
Well, that's a lot too much work.
Yeah, exactly.
That's why I listen to the show.
So therefore, just take it from me.
Oh.
This is a scientific discovery that a real proper scientist has,
proper scientist?
Yeah, exactly.
Proper scientist. You've got what's his name? Maberov? You've got the seal of approval from Dr. Lesley Phillips.
That's right. And then there's also another Russian researcher who's done some research that have showed that how information is stored in biophotons. And his name is Peter Garayev. And he placed DNA inside a quartz container and like scientists like to do, he shone a laser beam at it.
Let's see what happens.
And the DNA absorbed the light and stored it for up to 30 days in a spiral of light that reflected the pattern of the DNA. So the light spiral stayed after the quartz container and DNA were removed. And that's what's now known as the phantom DNA effect. So that's pretty cool. I can see Corey's mind is also...
Well, I'm trying to picture that. Look, it looks really cool.
Yes, yeah. So, I mean, the idea is that maybe the DNA is responding to some kind of external influence, which is enabling it to stay in that configuration. And, of course, supporting perhaps the idea that we have a blueprint of our physical bodies stored in a field of light, which again is something that if you're an energy healer, many of us work with that energetic blueprint all the time when we're doing healing work. So, there is, from my perspective as a healer, there definitely is a template of light that underlies the human form. Mm-hmm. But now they're starting to have scientific evidence that points at it.
Well, that DNA study, if you got the DNA from people that lived in the 70s and the 80s, I can understand that happening because their DNA would just go, hey, light show, man.
It'd be holographic. What it is. And then let's see. Well, and talking about experiments probably back from that time, there are some old experiments. You may have seen these where part of a leaf is cut off and a field of light remains behind in the shape of the piece of the leaf that's been removed.
Well, that's interesting because when I had an eye operation, I don't know if anybody knows that out there, but when I had my eye operation afterwards, I swear I could see through my eyelid. Seriously, I swear I could see through my eyelid.
That's very cool. Yeah, I feel I sometimes feel like I can see through my eyelid, especially when it's dark at night. Actually, oddly enough.
Yeah, but you have to understand it was different because the light reacted differently with my eye because the liquid wasn't in it, right? Mm. So there was a whole different sensation there. But I swear, I just had one eye though. Mm. I swear I could see through my eyelid.
Mm. So like I was saying, that leaf experiment is pretty cool. And as healers, we work with these templates of light all the time. We use them to repair organs and retrain an unhealthy biological system to comply with its healthy template. And so...
the opposite is true as well, though. I mean, with phantom limb syndrome.
That's the same as that leaf, isn't it? Yeah, so phantom limb syndrome is where somebody has had a limb amputated, but to them it feels like it's still there. Their toe still itches, even though they don't have...
Yeah, the pain is still there in a lot of cases. That's the bad part. The pain is still there.
Yeah. And so now there's another study that I think now is verging on manifestation and consciousness in biophotons. So there was a study where 8 people were placed in a dark room and asked to visualize a bright light. And light detectors picked up an aura of light particles coming from the right side of their brains, showing that we can influence the light coming from our bodies. So again, as a healer and a clairvoyant, I work with thought forms, energy balls, energy streams, and other energy constructs all the time. Well, yeah, that's what we do. But science is starting to clue in.
It's interesting. You say that science is starting to clue in. And when you think about it, I'm sure everybody at some point in time has looked at somebody and noticed an aura around them, even if it's just a silver aura. It's evident. All you have to do is look at somebody long enough and you can see it.
Well, we should take a poll on that. But I think there are lots of people people come to me saying, I wish I could. How do you do it?
What they're saying is they wish you could see auras. Again, a lot of people I've met don't recognize things when they see it.
That's true. I mean, don't get me wrong, I believe everybody can learn to do it, but I think lots of people don't believe they've had the experience.
Well, I'm not talking, colors and things like that. I'm just a plain, like whitish, silverish glow around the human being. So I'll admit it, and it's within our spectrum to see. Yeah. So we don't have to see it with our spirit, we can actually see it with our eyes. And it's light.
Yeah. So, what are the implications of this? Light emitting from our cells carries information about how biological systems work. Our bodies are transmitters and receivers of light that are constantly exchanging signals with the cosmos, with the environment, with consciousness. And we have the ability to affect the light that our cells emit, and therefore can control our bodies and our minds and heal ourselves through the medium of light.
What was the book? I can't remember. It was Conversations. No, not Conversations with God. What was one where they went down to Central America?
And then what happened?
Oh, and they just this guy went down to Central America and found they were looking
the
for
Celestine
Celestine prophecies. Where I remember there's one part in there where they're in a compound and this girl is showing the hero in the book how to connect with plants, and that there actually was a light emitting from the plant back and forth from him to the plant.
Yeah.
But he could see that energy emission.
Yeah. No, I mean, you can all do that, folks, actually, if you just get your fingertips and hold your fingertips together from each hand. And then against maybe a white backdrop, or is slowly move your fingertips apart. And you might be able to see streams of light connecting your fingertips when you do that. Similar kind of thing. So,
I can see everybody home doing that right now.
Yeah. Ooh, cool. So, do you want to hear about what happened to me when I was in the bath?
Sure.
Because we've got this nice, one of those, what are they called? Bubble bath things, not jacuzzi type baths.
Mm-hmm.
So I was having a nice relaxing bath last night, and as I was relaxing, all of a sudden I found myself in another reality, kind of, with a couple of spiritual teachers, and they taught me a whole system of healing at the DNA level based on biophotonics. While I was lying in the it was very, 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 very cool, and it was amazing actually. As they were showing me how to alter gene expression, how to rapidly read and repair DNA, how to alter my focus between chromosomes, gene clusters, genes, DNA sequences, how to extract and repair sequences of DNA, how to create and insert new tracks of DNA. They even showed me how to duplicate myself and work on chromosome pairs. So one version of myself working on one and one version of myself working on the other. And as a healer, I've worked on DNA before, but this was really, really super, super powerful. So they kind of had me holding my hands, or my light hands, I suppose, and literally the DNA sequences were flowing in between my hands at light speed, and I was able to pick up places that needed, some work done. And then we were, splicing light.
You know that's illegal, right?
What?
Altering DNA.
Is it? Oh, well, I don't know. Anyway, so it was really, 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 really cool. And the biggest treasure was, they taught me a special technique based on holographic principles, where you sort of take a progenitor cell and place it within a very specific location in the body, and then a light broadcast comes from that cell and transmits throughout all the other cells in the body, so that the healing is transferred
that's interesting.
through biophotonics.
That's interesting. As opposed to being very specific, you do something specific and it becomes very general.
Yeah, well, I started, after we'd been doing this work, I started going, okay, well, now it has to go into all the cells. So I started trying to move it into all the cells at once. And they said, no. We create this little, it was like a little gold package of light. And then we place it here, and then that broadcasts the shift everywhere else.
Like a domino effect.
Yeah.
Okay, folks, you can sign up on the website for this new healing course.
Well, yeah, for this new healing technique. and this, I'm not going to say where in the body this was placed, but it was a location that was mentioned by Edgar Cayce, but is not being validated by scientists yet. Okay, so it's a gland within the human body that exists according to these teachers and according to Edgar Cayce, but it's as important as the pineal gland is. in the human body.
Is it the gallbladder?
Oh no, Corey! It's not the gall. I was going to say, oh no, you don't have one anymore, but you do have one. So no, it's not the gallbladder. But that was an amazing experience, and I'm not too sure what I'm going to do with it yet, but I'm sure I'll be practicing that healing technique and maybe even teaching it, and I'm sure that there's more to come. So
sounds exciting. I'm up for that one.
Yeah, very cool. But you know what? We've finished perfectly on the perfect time to go to the ads.
Yep.
So listeners, you're listening to Unlocking Your Truth with Dr. Lesley. The phone number is 604-504-7441, extension 4142. And you can email info@drlesleyphillips.com. Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Unlocking Your Truth with Dr. Lesley and with Corey, who's now the one who's coughing.
It's dry in here.
Yeah. So, folks, call us up with your questions, 604-504-7441, extension 4142, or send it in to info@drlesleyphillips.com. Before the break, we were talking about intuition healing and the biophotonic human, and how light is the language of spirit. That is how we communicate as spirit, through our intuition. It is how energy healers work as well, through working with light. And now science is, it has a growing field of biophotonics. And so we were just postulating how it all might mesh together. So you can phone us up and join in that conversation too, if you wish. And in the absence of a phone call, let's see who's written in this week. And I must say, listeners, we've got a backlog of about 80 questions
that you had to answer online as well.
So yeah, we've got, but send your questions in anyway.
Remember, Jesus said, "I am the light," so he was 2,000 years ahead of the scientists.
Yeah.
So you want a question?
I do, please.
Okay. This one is from Bertha. Bertha wants to know, do I have herpes?
Oh, okay. Well, let's take a look at that for you, Bertha.
By the way, we don't use people's real names.
No, or give out their names and addresses or anything like that. No, so let's take a look. And what I'm seeing, Bertha, is that there is an energetic match for that in your energy field. But what I would also say to you that is that you can, just because there's an energetic match in there, doesn't mean that you have to have herpes, doesn't mean that you have to, have a medical diagnosis and suffer for the rest of your life. And so I think, that's a short answer to your question, but let's give you some healing. Let's give you some healing and see if we can assist you with that. So I'm actually going to do that now. And, of course, I might not have a lot to say while I'm doing this, but I am seeing the virus in your system, and we're just going to have a go at clearing it. And viruses are sneaky things because they hide in the body. They go dormant, and then things trigger them, and they pop back up again. And for some reason, I'm actually seeing a really strong connection in the throat area. And of course, there's different types of the herpes virus. It's the one that causes cold sores on the mouth. So in you, I'm seeing in particular it be in the throat area, actually. So we're clearing it. And basically, to clear it, I'm working with little packages of light, little packages of energy. I'm bombarding it. I'm getting it to dissolve and leave your system. And actually, when I've done that, I'll look at why that was why that was created in your field, so that we can work with the belief system that caused that to be there as well. But let's clear the little thing out. So, just a little bit more to do here. I'm seeing that what it got in on is shame and self-judgment. And so, I mean, the answer is love yourself, and of course the answer to everything is love, but that's what I'm seeing. I'm seeing that you have some stuff where you were feeling ashamed of yourself and judging yourself for certain things that you've done or said, and that's the vulnerability for developing a problem like this. Okay, still working on it. Still seeing if there's anything else that we need to just free you up from in order to set you free from this. I'm just seeing it's just translating its way through the body. Well, we don't have you on the phone, Bertha, but I'd be interesting to know if you grew up in any religion, because I'm getting some images of Catholicism here. And of course, that old thing, Catholic guilt, is so. If you were brought up as a Catholic or a religion that made you feel, guilty and sinful, then working on letting that go might be an idea. But I'm also seeing that there's a flip side to. I'm seeing sort of like that Catholic image of the Virgin Mary, and of course, Mary is a great healer, an ascended master, and a being of love and light in her own right. And so, I'm also seeing that, and she has that feminine energy and that nurturing energy, and that I'm also seeing that that's a vibration that's just coming in to help you and uplift you and help you move out of those lower vibrations into the vibration of love. So there, we've given her a healing, and we can help somebody else now.
Well, I hope so. That was nice of you. Great. I have a question from Running Problems with the Name.
Actually, before you say it, I'll just say, folks, that's an example of the kind of healing work that I do. And you can go onto my website, drlesleyphillips.com, and take a look at the different healing options. Not everything is explicitly laid out, but, pretty much can work with any disease or any issue, mental, emotional, spiritual. So if you've got a problem like Bertha, feel free to reach out.
Okay. And this is from Ricky, and Ricky is a female Ricky.
Yeah.
And Ricky says, I just listened to the podcast by Seven Chakras, and you spoke about a chakra blueprint. What is my chakra blueprint?
Oh, that's a cool question. Yeah, I had an interview on my 7 chakras, probably 18 months ago, actually. And I was talking about the intuition blueprint. So the intuition blueprint, everyone has one. Everyone is intuitive. And it is basically your unique profile of intuitive abilities and how they relate to your life purpose. So each of your main chakras actually channels different forms of intuition. And depending on what you came here to do this lifetime, different ways of being intuitive and different chakras can be more or less emphasized, and depending on what you're going through in your life as well. And so what this blueprint reading does is it looks at when you were born, what kind of intuitive toolkit you came in with, and what you were planning on using it for. And then we look in present time at the blueprint to see if it's changed. Because many people turn their intuitive gifts down by the time they're an adult because they've been invalidated. So not everyone is in their full power and being the best version of themselves that they can be. So this is a reading that I do that specifically meant to help orient you towards your life purpose and inform you of your unique profile of intuitive abilities. And so she may have been asking me to tell her what her intuition blueprint is.
Most probably.
But I have to say that the intuition blueprint reading lasts for 90 minutes and involves me drawing up a chart. So it's not something that I can do even in the length of time. Even if we dedicated the whole radio show, Ricky, to doing your intuition blueprint, there wouldn't be enough time. But what I can do for you is take a look at what the most prominent intuitive ability for you is right now. And I can see that it's in the crown chakra, and it is what we call knowingness or claircognizance. And that is the ability to simply know. You don't know why you know, you don't know how you know, but you just, without a shadow of a doubt, know. So, because intuition happens instantly, you'll know, your logic, your intellectual mind, that kind of takes time for you to think about it, doesn't it? Well, intuition's like an instant insight. And this type of instant insight is when you know something. And that's what I'm seeing be the main intuitive ability that you're operating from right now. It doesn't mean you don't have others and can't develop others. And if you really want to, you can go on the website and book a full intuition blueprint reading from me. But I can't do it through a quick question on the radio.
Wonderful.
Thanks.
I've got a question for Fanny. Fanny says, my question is, can I heal people through clairaudience?
Well, isn't that an interesting question? And so I'll look at her energy, but before I do that, I'll just explain what clairaudience is. So clairaudience is a different intuitive ability conferred by the fifth chakra, and it relates to receiving intuitive information through sound. So you might hear a voice or even hear music and vibrations that elevate your frequency. They can all come through that clairaudient channel. So can you heal people through clairaudience? I would say yes, but it isn't a healing device in its own right. So the couple of ways that you can do that is, so for example, when I do healings, I very often work with my healing guide, and I use my clairvoyance to communicate with I use my clairvoyance, but I also use my clairaudience to communicate with my healing guide when I'm doing a healing. So the healing guide might tell me to pay particular attention to something or other. And so it can be used during a healing process. You can use your clairaudience to get information to help you conduct a healing. And then I would say maybe the other way is that everything is vibration. And there are sounds that we can hear within the normal range of our human hearing. And there are higher frequency vibrations and sounds that we can't, but we can hear through our clairaudience. And so, for example, the music of the spheres, the music in the angelic realms, those are very high frequency vibrations that in their own right can administer healing and upliftment. And so tuning into those types of frequencies can result in healing. So let's just quickly tune into Fanny and see. Well, one thing I would just say to you, Fanny, is it looks to me like you're actually, and this can happen when people start opening up to their intuitive gifts, that there can be some interference. And I'm seeing you're actually dealing with some interference with some other entities that are giving you some ideas about yourself. And so I would say it's very important for you, as you continue your exploration into the intuitive side and into your spiritual gifts, that you learn some techniques to keep you safe, such as grounding, such as centering, and such as managing your own energy field and keeping it clear of foreign energy. So I hope that answers your question, and I hope it gives you a little tip as well. we're going to go to another break, and then we'll have more questions. If you want to call in live with a question, that's a way to jump the queue, by the way. Then 604-504-7441, extension 4142. Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Unlocking Your Truth with Dr. Lesley. Tonight we were talking about intuition healing and the biophotonic human, and now we are in the portion of the show where we give you some intuitive information about your questions. And we did just have a phone call. Someone jumped the queue. They took the advice to jump the queue and called us on 604-504-7441, extension 4142. But they were shy.
Slow down with the telephone number. 604-504-7441, extension 4142. Okay, so this person is too shy to come online. And her question is, how can I send somebody a message telepathically?
That's a great question. So how can you send a message telepathically? Well, the funny thing is we do it all the time, actually. We were talking about biophotons earlier in the show. Every thought we have, every emotion we have, everything that happens in our bodies is sending out an energetic signature. So we're actually constantly broadcasting telepathically without consciously knowing it. And the example I like to give about that is, like say you're trying on dresses and you show your friend and you ask her if she likes it and she says, oh, it's lovely, but inside she's going, oh, that's really ugly. On some level, even though she's smiling and says it's lovely, that's not what she really is really thinking. That's a form of telepathic communication. So let's see. So without giving you a full-blown class on telepathic communication, telepathy it's kind of located in the 5th chakra, which is one in the throat, and you have telepathic channels in your sternum and your sinuses, and so it's kind of like that's where you're receiving telepathic messages, and where you're able to send them from too. So let's see if we can give you a simple answer though. So really, just having the message that you want to convey and focusing your intention on sending that message to the person that you want to receive it, in essence, is how you do it. Because energy follows intention. And whenever you have a thought, you're configuring a little packet of electromagnetic energy that's being transmitted. But if you put the intention that it's actually being focused to a specific person, then that's how you can send it. Now, whether that person can receive it, that's up to that person and how open they are to those subtle communications. But if you have a bunch of friends who are all into this kind of thing, then you can practice together. You can practice one-on-one as individuals, or you can even practice broadband telepathy, which is broadcasting a message to a group of people. Or you can amplify the frequency and have the group of people all send the same message to you. I think that answers the question, Corey.
Yeah, it does. There's one point I like to include in there, if you don't mind.
Sure.
One thing you have to do, though, that's necessary is you have to do it out of love. If you don't do it from a place of love, it doesn't work.
Well, it works, but you can send hate to someone just as well as you can send love. But the advice would be to send love, because if you send hate, then you're going to get that coming back at you too.
Okay.
All righty.
Okay, here's a question from Wu in the United Kingdom. I have been together with my wife for the past 10 years. I met her with 2 kids, and I had 2 kids with her, but it looks like she is never happy with anything I do for her. I really love her, but it looks like she doesn't love me. Can you help me out, please?
Yes. Let's take a look. Do you say Wu or Lou? Woo. Very British name, Woo. Alright, so I'm just going into trance to take a look at Woo. Well, the first thing I want to say is, of course, you can never change another person, you can only change yourself. But I'm seeing that actually in this case is the thing that would help you the most, because you're viewing your wife through your own filter of beliefs and past history, okay? And everybody does this. We live life, we have experiences, we store those experiences in our energy field, and it's like a window that we look out at the world through. So I'm seeing that you have some specific beliefs and past time experiences that are colouring the way that you perceive your wife. So it's almost like, what was the word he used? She didn't appreciate him. I can't remember.
Didn't love him.
Didn't love him. Oh. Well, I'm seeing that you have some unworthiness energy stored in your energy field. And so you're not able to see your wife clearly. Because to me, it looks like she does love you, but you don't feel loved because you were taught as a young boy that you were not lovable. And you carried that forward into your adulthood. And then your adult relationships are received through that filter. So by working on yourself and loving yourself and releasing the past, cleaning your window, then you'll be able to have a clearer perception of what's going on in your relationship with your wife. Or I'll take a look at her as well and see if there's anything to say from her side. But well, it looks like you've also got this sort of desire to please her and to keep her happy, which causes you to move into her space and kind of overcrowd her a little bit. And it just looks like that's not what her idea of love is. Her idea of love is to be allowed to be herself and be free from encroachment by others. And so, I'm seeing that she pushes you away when your energy gets in her space because it feels uncomfortable to her, because she wants to be free. And that doesn't mean she doesn't want to be in a marriage or love you, but it means she just doesn't want to be smothered or controlled. That's what I'm seeing. Got time for another?
Sure. There's a lot of interesting questions here. Here's one from the Netherlands. It's Pat. Pat knows wants to know how intuitive am I? Okay.
Well, let's see. There's different ways we can answer that, but if you listen to the beginning part of the show, then you might understand that it kind of, you can't really measure it, but immeasurably so. Because ultimately you are an eternal being of light, and you communicate through light. And so light is who you are, and light is how you communicate. So you are 100% intuitive. Now, the next question might be, yes, but, well, in my physical body, how intuitive am I? How much of that amazing superpower, eternal abilities getting through at the level of my physical body? So let's take a look at that for you, Pat. And actually refer you back to the lady who asked about her intuition blueprint, because you might want to go to the website and check out the intuition blueprint page and consider having your intuition blueprint done, because that will really give you a thorough overview of how intuitive you are, what intuitive abilities you brought forward this lifetime and why. But I'll do what I did for the other lady, which is to look at what's the main one that shows up for you right now. And I'm actually seeing the one that shows up for you is clairsentience as being the most prominent one out of your profile. And that's the one that emanates from the second chakra, and it's the one that you can use to read the emotions, emotional frequencies, emotional vibrations. And, of course, it's an ability that's meant to help you, the high vibration spiritual being, interact and communicate with your physical body, because your physical body sends out emotional signals, and it's a way that it communicates with you. I'm seeing in your case that you might describe yourself a little bit people, there's a phrase that people call themselves these days, which is "I'm an empath," and they usually say it with a roll of the eyes, because that means that they're just very sensitive to other people's energy and they get overwhelmed with other people's energy. So I'm seeing you might feel like that about yourself, because I am seeing, because you've got this tendency to tune into the emotions of other people around you and to get into sympathy and to resonate with them and allow their energy into your space. So your strongest ability, at least currently, and challenge is your clairsentience. So how to own your space so that the signals are clear and that you're not overwhelmed. So we might have time for a real quickie. We've got about 7 minutes left.
Okay, I have one from Antha. And Antha would like to know, will I ever have inner peace?
Future time question. So, of course, you know that depends on you. You create your reality, and you will have inner peace when you release anything that isn't peace from your energy field. And so, but will it, look, all of us on this planet have moments of peace and moments of the opposite. And that's kind of like the deal on this planet, because it's duality. It's like opposites. So the expectation of permanent inner peace is something that needs to be cultivated through a spiritual practice like meditation. And even then, things can knock you off your perch and you need to use the techniques to get back. But let me take a look at your energy very quickly. Well, it's interesting given what I just said, because I'm actually seeing that you're striving for the inner peace and you're reaching outside of yourself. You're reaching outside of the body to get the peace. And so I'm seeing that method might give you moments of transcendence and moments of peace while you're meditating. But it's not going to help you when you're going about your everyday reality at work and at the bus stop. And so I might refer you to the podcast or podcasts that we've done on grounding and centering. These are meditation techniques that help you to be in your body and control what's going on in your body. So if there's something that isn't peaceful, you can release it down your grounding. And you can be a neutral observer of it by being in the center of your head. So I would say, Antha, that depends how much inner peace you experience this lifetime depends on you and your approach to life and perhaps your spiritual practices. So will you ever attain it? I would say, and this is funny, people ask me in my free card readings for future time predictions all the time, and I've started just giving them a percentage probability. So I'm seeing it's about 60% probability based on your current energy configuration, which you can change at any time.
So basically, yes. Does that give you inner peace now that you know?
Yeah. Well, listeners, thank you so much. You've been listening to Unlocking Your Truth with Dr. Lesley and with Corey. We've been talking about intuition, energy healing, biophotonics. We've been answering your questions. We will be back next Tuesday at 7 o'clock Pacific time on 101.7 FM, broadcasting live across the Fraser Valley and live streaming on civl.ca. And of course, the podcasts appear on drlesleyphillips.com 1 week after they broadcast. You can go on there and you can see hundreds or over 100 different episodes. So if you're a first-time listener and you liked it, you can go to drlesleyphillips.com and discover all sorts of other wonderful, wonderful shows that we've done. So I'll say goodbye for now.
Bye-bye now.
Thank you for joining us. You've been listening to another Unlocking Your Truth podcast by Dr. Lesley Phillips. For more information, go to our website at drlesleyphillips.com. That's drlesleyphillips.com, where you can ask questions or send her an email, and there's many free gifts on there for you as well. Come back again.